Cut the music. Okay, just having fun, guys, you know, with some sexy music for a sexy car. For those of you who are not old enough in the hobby, this is the Tamiya 414. This is the car that more or less gave Tamiya its first ever world championship in the touring car division in the hands of Surikarn from Thailand. And I have here my own racer from way back in 1999 or 2000. And I'm just sharing this with you because I am going to start campaigning this in the 17.5 Blinky class. Yeah, you know. I've had an Automatics, X-Ray, and I would like to see how this 20-year-old car can stand up with the newest cars, you know. I think it can do it. For us here, my track is an outdoor low to medium grip type of track. It's small, the lap times is around 11 seconds for most. And so I've done some initial tests. So the first test I did was I ran this more or less stock, you know, no real upgrades. Even the front was a front one way from way back when, you know, when the front can freewheel. So the front one way was a no way. It was hard to control the car. It was erratic. It didn't feel as good as a spool. So I took it out. So, but when I was running, let's call it stage 0. So stage 0, front spool. I was running an All-Star cheap radio control unit, testing it out. And more or less just some settings on the suspension that was not tuned. And lap times was pretty awful. I was around 2 seconds off the pace. So sad. In a 11-12 second lap, that's pretty big, you know. Alright, so that was a little disappointing. But maybe, you know, I felt there was more to this car. So stage 1, as I call it, is what I have now. And what I did was I replaced the front one way with an Evo 4 or Evo 5 spool from Tamiya. Can't recall. I got rid of that cheap radio and put in my tried and true Sanwa MT4. And on the rear, I still have my, it's no longer a ball diff, it's a gear diff from a Tamiya TB04 kit, mated to the stock 15 pulley of the 414. Motor here for now, I'm running a Tamiya brushless system 18 turn. So power is almost as good as a 17.5 Blinky. And I was just doing it for testing purpose. And so this is where I am at stage 1. It was pretty encouraging. You know, what I did was I did a different setup. I did a very low ride height setup, 4 millimeters off the ground. I put in very stiff springs. Yep. I made sure that they are all equal lengths to avoid tweaks. So more or less I measure each spring with a caliper, and if one spring is longer than the other, I try to Dremel a bit off that longer spring, so that when I turn the shock collars, I know I'm getting this exact same tension on each side of the suspension. Alright, and that gave good results. So stage 1, it was pretty controllable. I enjoyed driving this car, and now instead of 2 seconds off the pace, I'm only 1 second off the pace. Alright, actually 1 second off the fastest lap time in that track for that day. And for my X-ray, it's around 0.7 or 0.8 slower than the X-ray that I had. Not bad, not bad, getting there. And so what else can I do? Alright, so for stage 2, what I plan to do is, basically I will start to replace the power. I would put in more power, so I will put in a much more flatter 17.5 motor. I have a new ESC, the T-Sky $15 ESC that I just ordered. That will come in here. That should give me a few tenths just on power alone. Now, in terms of suspension, am I going to stick with this hard setup? So notice, hard setup, no anti-roll bars. That's going to, I want to simplify it first. I want to get into the ballpark first, and then maybe later if I need to put roll bars to fine-tune the suspension. But since I'm running such hard springs, I don't think the roll bars are really going to be a good fit. But if later on I start going with softer springs, then roll bars would be a good tuning aid to prevent excessive roll. Okay, so what I'm going to do for stage 2, apart from power, is I noticed when I took the temps, the rear tire was at around, let's say, 111 degrees. Front was 105 degrees Fahrenheit. And so I guess my rear tire was a little hotter than the front, meaning my car was probably sliding on the rear. So I need to put in more grip at the rear, and that's what I'm going to do by just lowering the suspension blocks by maybe 2 millimeters. That will lower the roll center and hopefully give it more grip. So the way I'm tuning it now is just by playing with the roll centers via the height of the suspension blocks in relation to the chassis. And if that gets in, and plus the angle of the camber links as a fine-tuning aid after that. And so hopefully stage, what's that, stage 1, stage 2, stage 2, yes, when I get back to the track somewhere end of this month, I can get it, maybe half a second to my X-ray. I'll be happy if I can get that close or even more, but it's looking pretty optimistic. And yeah, so in 2019, this will be my touring car. This is what I'm going to campaign. Reason being, it's also sentimental value to me. So my daughter decided to stop RC racing after 9 years. This was her first car ever raced, so it brings, at least if I use this car, I feel like my daughter's still racing with me. So sad, but she's grown up, college life is coming. Our RC adventure and fun for the past 9 years has come to an end. So many good memories, and so this is the only memory I have of my daughter racing RC cars. And that's why I'm going to make sure this car whips the ass of newer cars. It can, I believe it so. I just need to really put, hard work and, into tuning this car. Yeah, I think it will work. It will work. I'm also using a regular weight Dodge Stratus body. So that's the body circa in its time in the early 2000s. So I'm also going to run that body. Alright, so I'm going to keep almost everything stock. No changes in suspension arms or I'm going to really avoid changing lots of things. I'm going to keep this box stock as much as possible, and then just work with it. I'm going to try to stick with Tamiya springs, even though I am tempted to use the X-ray springs. I know it's better, but I'm going to stick with Tamiya springs for now. Maybe when I'm desperate at stage 10 of tuning, will I put in those X-ray springs just for a check. But for now, I'm early stages of this car being developed. Yeah, that's my plan. Okay, so I hope you like this. This is a very sexy car to me. Compared to the modern day touring cars, I like this even better than the automatics because it's simple. The shape is V-shaped chassis. The look at the shock tower has shape. It's curved, unlike some of the shock towers now, like the BD9. It's like straight. Oh, come on. Heavy duty steel. No thin things here. This is heavy duty stuff. All right. Yeah, I love it. It's good. I like it. It's symmetrical. Look at that. The motor's in the center, batteries in the center, electronics balanced left and right. It's actually, I put this on the scale and it's balanced, really balanced. I think the rears are 400, fronts are like 350, something like that, but very balanced. So I like this car. It's like, yeah, balance, Yeah. All right. So hope you're enjoying, just me sharing a vintage 20-year-old touring car. Right now, if I race this, it's going to be in the C main. Lucky if it can even get into the B main. But I think after stage 1 tuning, putting in the power, fine-tuning my suspension setup a bit, I think I can get this into the B main. And maybe after a few more months of trying to really fine-tune this, maybe the A main. Yep. So that's where we are. It's getting me excited again because the X-ray, I think I've tuned it to depth. Yeah, nothing much I can do anymore with that car. It's like it is what it is. Nothing I can think of to make it faster anymore, except buy new tires every run. And one thing I also like about this is stiff. There is no flex. All right, this is a proper race car. No flex. I know flex is there to give additional grip, so I will have to find that grip some other way rather than because it has no flex. So later I might have to go with really soft suspension settings for this, but I will start with hard first and go down to soft. As I would like to keep it as hard as I can to keep the corner speed. Yeah, and that's it. So hope you like this nostalgic touring car. Look at that shape, it's so sexy. Yeah, let's kick in the music again. Music!